Hello everyone, today we're covering the 8th Financial Commandment. The 8th Financial Commandment is that we are not to count on future earnings to pay for the current expenses. And today we're going to share kind of two stories. One, my story, which is the right way of doing it. And then the other extreme
no bragging now.
Is Mike's way of doing things. And it's both, it's the same story. It's the way I bought my first car versus the way Mike bought his first car. And I was trained a little bit differently. And at a very young age, my dad kind of said, you know, one day you're going to want to have a car. You're going to want a car. And I am wanting to help you with that, but I also want you to put into it. So whatever I would put in the bank to save up for my car, he would match. So if I put $20 in, he'd put $20 in. Now it's $40.
Nice.
And so
very nice.
From a very, very young age, I kind of got motivated and see the excitement. Oh man, I got $20. I'm going to put $20 in. Now it's $40, and I'm going to buy my own car. And so I started saving up until one day I was old enough to buy my own car. And so,
do you remember how old you were when you first started? When it kind of sunk in?
So my dad started the same thing for my older brother at the same time. So I was probably starting at like 6 or 7 at this. But I mean, even at that age, it was just this excitement that one day I'm going to drive in a car. And so there's just that anticipation and the excitement of it. So then I got a job and I started working and putting money into the bank, trying to save up for this. And I more aggressively started, especially around probably 7 or 8 years old, maybe even 9, really aggressively putting everything I could into this bank account to save up to buy a car. And then when I turned not even 15, 14 and a half or whatever, I was ready to buy my car because I wanted to get a hardship and I wanted to drive even earlier. And so as soon as I turned 15, I could be driving.
Wow.
So I had to have a car before then.
Wow.
So I go out and I had my eyes set on that time it was a 300ZX, a Nissan 300ZX.
Yes, very sweet car.
Yeah, it was very cool,
nice.
But
yes,
I actually couldn't afford that one. And so I made a decision to not go with one a little bit more ragged out or more miles on it, but to go with one a little bit better of a deal. And so it was a Nissan 240SX. Not as fast or cool, but it was so cool because I paid for it in cash. I owned it. And there was just such gratification that I got out of that, knowing like, I've done this. I've built this up now. I own this car. And it's my car. I don't owe payments on it. There's nothing that I have to do for it. I mean, I own this car. It's so exciting.
That's fantastic.
It was.
Really? So you were 15 years old, and you bought your first car cash free.
Cash free, yeah.
Right? No debt.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
All
now,
right.
I think you have a different story.
I do have a slightly different story, and actually, it's kind of sad compared to yours.
Yeah, it's kind of funny looking back for me, but I'm also very grateful I didn't have some of those difficult times.
Well, I'm going to tell you that's that's an amazing story, and I wish that each and every one of us had a similar story to that. But I'm going to be very transparent, and if I were to guess, I would say that my story probably is more normal than not.
I would say that more so aligns with the average American.
Yeah. So let's see. You started working at what? 13?
I got my first job in a dry cleaners at 13. But before then, I would do anything for money. So I was ready for money.
Okay.
I was motivated.
So I was 16 when I got my first job, and it didn't take me long before I started getting these paychecks to go, wow, I'm old enough to drive, and now I'm actually making money. And so I went to my parents and said, look, I'm getting these checks. I want to get a car. And so we went out and started looking, and actually me personally, I didn't find this with my parents. I found this really sweet 1979 Camaro, right? It was red, it had the T-tops and premium wheels, a little louver or whatever you call it on the back. I don't know what those things are, but anyway, it was sweet.
Yeah,
right?
I bet it looked good.
It was. I mean, James,
side by side,
it was great.
You'd pick that over the 240 SX, I guarantee it.
Of course,
because it looks sweet,
especially at 16.
Yeah.
But it had about, I want to guess it had about 75,000 miles, maybe even a little bit more than that. And back in the day, man, that was pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
And it had some issues, but I really wanted this, and so I went to my parents and said that I really wanted this vehicle, and I don't know what got into them, but they said, okay, well, how are you gonna pay for it?
Persuaded them.
And I did. I was persuasive, and I said, well, I'm making this money now. I'll just make the payments if you can help me, get the loan. And so they took out the loan, and I was supposed to pay them. So I remember to a T that as soon as I got that car, if I were to turn the corner and hit the gas, I could light up the tires.
That nice squeal sound, and
I put a stereo system in it, right? That was probably at the time worth just about as much as the car. You could hear me coming down, and I abused that vehicle.
Yeah.
I really did. I didn't really respect it as a mode of transportation or anything like that. Man, I was cool, and I was driving this thing. And initially, I made the payments, and over the course of about a year and a half, those T-tops that were so cool would actually, they would leak when it rained, and the inside, I never cleaned the inside. Well, not never, but very rarely did I clean the inside of the vehicle, and it didn't keep up maintenance on it and that type of thing. So eventually, I blew the engine.
You're done.
You're done, son.
You're done after that.
I blew the engine, and
so you didn't take care of it, and just
I did not. No, I didn't take care of it whatsoever, and also about 3 months into it, I stopped making the payments.
I bet your parents love that.
Yeah. What a great son, right?
Yeah. Thanks, Mom.
So I say all that to kind of go back to what we're talking about today, that I actually I had a vision for making these payments on this vehicle, right, and counting on what I was making today in order to make these payments, and of course
so what you did,
whole thing didn't
is you
work
said,
out.
okay, I'm going to make this purchase, but I'm counting on all the future of this job continuing to pay off, so that I can continue to pay for this. So we look at the other side, and I had worked all the way through. I bought it, now I own it, and then if I don't work, or if I do work, it's okay, but I don't have to work now to maintain the payments.
Yeah, exactly.
And so you were counting on, okay, well, I can just keep making this happen, and then that's how I'm going to pay for the expenses of it.
And now I think about, why I stopped making the payments. You know what it was? It was a girlfriend. My money started going to taking her out in that car.
That's another lesson.
Right.
That's another lesson.
We won't get into
talking
that.
about that.
But we are so wired by the Lord to have hope, right? And when we bypass that process as it relates to our finances, it's called credit, right?
Yeah.
And in Romans 8:24, the last part of that verse says, who hopes for what they already have? I mean, what a great question. I mean, why, if I once I had that vehicle, did I hope for it anymore?
No.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, you weren't saying, man, if I only had a sweet car with T-tops and everything. You had it. It's there.
Right.
But I had that hope that one day I could buy this car, and it was so exciting. And so every time I'm like, okay, I can go with this $50, $100, whatever it was, and I can go buy this, and that's going to be really fun for now. Or I can have delayed gratification, and then that way one day I can own this, what I thought, this amazing car. And so you have that delayed gratification, and you save up, and it builds up hope, and it builds up hope and hope.
Sure, and plus you were very grateful for what you had, right? And you took care of it. And
I'd be mad if my sister brought food in my car or anything, or
really?
drink. Don't do that. You're gonna spill it. Don't do that. So I was that particular because I'd worked really hard on that.
Exactly.
I mean, that was something I didn't necessarily love working at the dry cleaners, but I did for a long time so that I could do that. And so I look back at all the food and stuff, like, hey, get that out of here. Thinking, you know what I did to get this? Why are you bringing food in here?
Yeah. It's just a great example. And I think about that and you know, our stories and even, you know, what the country really looks like. You know, we live in the wealthiest society to ever grace the face of this earth ever in history, right? So we have that. And then did you know that we as Americans are also more indebted than any other country per capita in the world and personally as well? And then we're also the most depressed.
Yeah, hadn't created a whole bunch of happy people.
Right. So the question is, you know, does money buy happiness? And we go out. It's so easy to go out with a credit card, be armed with that credit card, just going, you know what? I want that grill. I'm gonna swipe it and get it. I want those.
So now, where'd the hope go for that grill? Where'd the hope go for the golf clubs?
Just bypass it, right?
You don't hope for it because you just get it. Yeah. You want it, you get it. Think about it as a child. If every time you say, "Mom, I'm so excited about Christmas," oh, we'll have Christmas tomorrow then.
Right.
Oh, you're excited? Well, we'll just have Christmas tomorrow. We'll have Christmas every day.
Right.
Then it takes away how special it is. It takes away the anticipation. Because kids, they get so excited and they wait all year. They start, I think, the day after, January 1st or something. By then, they're looking for the next Christmas.
Sure.
But then they start looking for, Christmas. And then it's this exciting day on Christmas Day. But if it's just, I want Christmas. Okay, let's just do it tomorrow. Let's do it again. And it takes away the hope.
Yeah.
And for adults now, many people live in this in the environment where we don't have the hope to live in a nicer neighborhood. We just go buy it and put it on credit and live in a nicer neighborhood. We don't have hope to go buy the grill, buy the golf clubs, buy the newest whatever that we really like and enjoy. And so we just go do it. And it's robbing us. It's robbing you by doing it of the way God's wired us. He's wired us to want to anticipate and build up hope and excitement for what He has for us.
Yeah. So when we actually, here's the lie. The lie is that when you go get whatever that stuff is for you, whether it's shoes or golf clubs or grills or cars or homes, whatever it is, the lie is, I'll be happy when. And so you go, you execute it, you put it on credit or take a loan or whatnot. Then what happens is that doesn't actually produce the happiness. What happens is that there's a stress associated with now I got to make the payments. I may have to work more in order to make sure I've got all these balls that I'm juggling up in the air, being debt payments, making sure all that takes place. Yeah. And that causes anxiety, depression, stress, as I said, you name it. And so what the Lord is telling us here and way that we've been actually wired is to have that hope. And you saw the difference between our stories, and wouldn't you much rather have His?
It doesn't sound as exciting.
No, it doesn't.
But it's a lot more fun to live that way.
And peace. We want you to have peace, right? And this is when we do it according to the Bible and God's way. That's when we experience the peace. I mean, I can't go back and tell you the conversations that I had with my parents as it related to not making payments, but I'm sure we had those conversations, and I'm sure it wasn't fun, and everything else associated with that story. It didn't work out the way I thought it was going to, nor did I want it to work out that way.
Or the way they hoped for it to work out.
Exactly. So,
and just like you said the lie is that if I can get this now, I'll be happy now. If I can get this now, I'll be happy now. Truth is, God's wired us to hope and to wait and to be patient. And God wants us to grow in patience. I mean, even James 1 talks about growing in patience. That's something that we get to grow and develop in as we get more and more mature in Christ, is we grow in patience. Yeah. And so the lie is, if I have it now, I'll be happy now. But truth is, if I will develop a plan, I'll maintain the course, and I'll just keep building and building and just saving and saving, and then one day build up to where I can do that. That is when the happiness comes.
Amen.
And the peace of mind and the peace of just spiritually that you're not having to fight for it. You worked and you earned it and you did this amazing thing. And that's where you get so much excitement, peace, joy. And so that's what we are encouraging all of you to do. Stop paying now and thinking, well, when the bill comes in, I'm hoping by the time the bill comes in that I've made money to pay for that. And then next month I'll spend it, and then by the time the bill comes in, hopefully I've done it. Instead, get way in advance to where you're living off past money. And so whether if you make the money tomorrow or not, you still have the money to pay for what you're buying today.
That's right.
And once you do that, even if you get several months in advance to where you're living off past money, just the freedom you're going to feel, the peace you're going to feel, it's going to be incredible.
It will be. So our prayer for you is that you apply this very simple principle and experience the peace that comes from handling your finances according to the Word of God. You can do it, and our prayer is that you do it. So God bless you guys.
Blessings.